Today's tech news moves fast, but understanding it shouldn't be hard. That's why Snarful Solutions Group brings you Connecting the Dots, where we break down what's happening in tech and why it matters to you. Now, let's dive in with your hosts.
Welcome to Connecting the Dots. I'm Alex.
And I'm Morgan.
And we are broadcasting daily right here from Snarful Solutions Group in Sacramento, California. Today is Thursday, July 16th, 2026.
It sure is.
And before we get into how the world's biggest tech monopolies are suddenly just having their walls torn down this morning, let's see if the weather walls are holding up here in our own backyard.
Yeah, we could use some walls against this heat.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Here in Sacramento, we are looking at a hot one today. It's sunny, peaking at 94 degrees Fahrenheit.
Ouch.
Yeah. But we do have a light breeze, wind blowing at about 6 to 12 miles per hour. So not terrible if you're in the shade.
Right. And, if you are traveling or maybe just keeping tabs on family across the country, it is a remarkably volatile day out there.
Oh, definitely.
Looking at the national context, there are currently 386 active U.S. weather alerts.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is.
Yeah.
And 270 of those are positioned right over land.
Okay, yeah.
So it is a very busy weather map today. Checking weather.gov before you head out of town is, it's just going to be essential today.
Definitely keep an eye on that. Now, let's look at the financial markets, where things are feeling a little bit like the calm before a storm.
Oh, yeah. Very quiet.
Right. Looking at yesterday's close, the Dow Jones ended slightly up, closing at 52,658.64. That is just a modest bump of 0.10%.
Yeah, barely moved. And meanwhile, the S&P 500 was essentially flat.
Right.
It closed at 7,572.48, just edging up, a microscopic 0.01%.
Just totally stalled out.
Exactly. We're seeing investors really just holding their breath right now, waiting for a definitive signal on where things are heading.
And checking in on the crypto side of things, Bitcoin is down slightly today. It's hovering right around 64,138.77.
Okay.
Which is a drop of about 0.90%. So, not huge dramatic movements across the board, but a very noticeable pause after those massive market swings we witnessed earlier this month.
Which really sets the stage perfectly for what is happening under the surface today.
Let's unpack this.
We are looking at a fundamental reality check across the entire tech industry.
Yeah, we are watching control in the tech world shift, and I mean violently shift.
Oh, totally.
We are talking about walled gardens being forcibly torn open by government regulators, catastrophic privacy failures leading to, frantic, unprecedented apologies.
And don't forget the astronomical, hype-driven market valuations.
Right, just colliding with brutal financial realities. It is a reckoning, honestly, for companies that are so used to operating with absolute impunity.
And the ripple effects of the shift, they are going to touch everything, from how your phone operates in your hand, all the way to how your retirement portfolio is managed.
Today's episode is brought to you by Strong Coffee, the premium instant coffee that tastes like a traditional brew, but is packed with 15 grams of protein, MCTs, and adaptogens like ashwagandha. Get clean, sustained energy without the jitters. Use promo code SNARFUL for 20% off at strongcoffeecompany.com.
So we really need to start with the regulatory sledgehammer the European Union just dropped on Google.
Oh man, this is huge.
It's massive. The EU has invoked their latest Digital Markets Act rulings known as the DMA.
Right.
And they are essentially forcing Google to pry open its walled garden, specifically when it comes to artificial intelligence on your phone.
Okay, let's break down what a walled garden actually means for you, the listener, in a practical sense. Because for years, the smartphone ecosystem has been incredibly locked down.
Oh, entirely.
Like, if you buy a phone, the company that made it largely dictates what software gets the best access to the hardware.
Exactly. They hold all the keys.
Right. So what exactly is the EU demanding Google change here?
Well, they are laying down two massive mandates, and they come with very strict, non-negotiable deadlines.
Okay, what's the first one?
First, by January 2027, Google is required to start sharing its search data with rival companies.
Wait, sharing their search data?
Yes, and that specifically includes competing AI chatbots. They can no longer hoard the world's search habits solely for their own products.
Wow, okay. That's a huge shift. What's the second mandate?
Second, by July 2027, Google has to pry open the Android operating system itself.
Pry it open how?
They must allow rival AI assistants to function with the exact same deep system access that Google's own AI, Gemini, currently enjoys.
Okay, let's explore how that actually works under the hood.
Yeah, let's do it.
Right now, if you are holding an Android phone and you say the wake words, or you want an AI to read a menu that's currently on your screen, or maybe access your camera to identify a landmark,
Right.
you are locked into using Google's Gemini. Google basically gives its own AI a VIP pass to your device's hardware, while all the third-party apps are stuck waiting in line outside.
Exactly. And the EU is saying that VIP Pass is fundamentally anti-competitive.
Right.
Under these new rules, you, the user, finally get to choose who gets the VIP Pass.
So I can pick someone else.
Yes. You could deeply integrate ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity right into the core wiring of your phone.
Oh, that's wild.
You could set it so that when you speak to your phone, Claude answers. And Claude has the exact same seamless ability to pull up your calendar, read your screen, and control your hardware that Google currently reserves just for itself.
I want to visualize this mechanism because it feels like a landlord, which would be Google owns this massive apartment building, which is your phone.
That's a great way to look at it.
And for years, the landlord has said, you can rent an apartment here, but if your sink breaks, you are legally required to use our in-house plumber.
Yep, our plumber, our prices.
Right, but now the city, being the EU, is stepping in and saying you have to hand over the master keys to the building to competing property managers, so your tenants have the freedom to hire whoever they want to fix their sink.
That's it, exactly. And the city isn't just asking nicely either. No, they are backing this up with an existential threat. If Google fails to hand over those master keys by the deadline, the European Commission can fine them up to 10% of their annual worldwide turnover.
Wait, global turnover?
Global.
That isn't just a slap on the wrist. I mean, that is tens of billions of dollars.
It's an astronomical sum.
We are so used to seeing tech giants treat regulatory fines like a minor tax, just the cost of doing business. But 10% of their global revenue is a number that forces a fundamental change in their business model.
It absolutely alters the calculus. But Google isn't going down without a fight here.
I wouldn't expect them to. What's their argument?
They are bringing up a defense that sounds very compelling on the surface. Google's president of global affairs is arguing that handing over these master keys creates a massive security and privacy nightmare.
Oh, the privacy card.
Exactly. They are claiming that by opening up the Android ecosystem to third-party AI agents, they can no longer guarantee the safety of your personal data.
Let me push back on Google's defense here, though.
Go for it.
Are they genuinely trying to protect our personal data? Or is this just an incredibly convenient excuse to protect a lucrative monopoly?
It's a very fair question.
Because if you look at the mechanics of it, holding all the data themselves is exactly what makes them so much money.
It is the ultimate gray area, honestly. Because from a purely technical architectural standpoint, Google isn't entirely wrong.
How so?
Well, when you have one tightly controlled, closed-loop ecosystem, it is much easier to monitor for threats.
Sure, fewer variables.
Right. The moment you introduce third-party AI agents that need access to your microphone, your real-time location, and your search history to be useful, the surface area for a potential security breach expands exponentially.
That makes sense.
It's just math. More doors mean more locks to pick.
Right, but isn't managing multiple doors just the inherent price of a competitive market?
That's what the EU is arguing.
Yeah, the EU regulators seem to be saying that Google's security argument magically aligns with maintaining total market dominance.
It is quite a convenient coincidence.
They're telling Google, look, you have the engineering talent to build in safeguards. You can thoroughly vet these third-party AI tools before they get the master keys, but you cannot use security as a blanket excuse to lock the doors forever.
And it forces every consumer to weigh a very difficult trade-off,
Absolutely.
Do we prioritize ultimate frictionless security under the umbrella of one massive corporation, knowing they have total control?
Right.
Or do we value the freedom to choose our own digital tools, even if it means accepting a slightly higher degree of risk?
It's a tough call. But Google isn't the only tech giant finding out that hoarding data has a dark side.
Not at all.
When you demand deep access to user information, you are always one bad line of code away from a catastrophe, which is exactly what just happened over at Elon Musk's xAI.
Oh man, this is a perfect example of what happens when the tools we trust get way too eager.
What's the background here?
So the entire developer community is in an uproar right now over a tool xAI recently released called Grok Build.
Okay.
It's what's known as a CLI tool.
Now, for the working professionals listening who aren't software engineers, what does a CLI tool actually do?
Good question. It stands for Command Line Interface. Instead of clicking buttons on a screen with a mouse, developers type text commands directly into their computer's terminal to perform complex tasks quickly.
Okay, got it.
Grok Build was designed to be a helpful AI assistant for developers. The idea was that it would deeply analyze a developer's local files to help them write code faster, spot errors, organize their workflow, that sort of thing.
So, to use our earlier analogy, it's like hiring a highly efficient assistant, giving them a VIP badge to your office, and asking them to organize the files on your desk.
Precisely. But users quickly discovered a horrifying reality about what this assistant was doing when they weren't looking.
Oh no. What was it doing?
When developers ran the Grok command, the tool didn't just analyze the code sitting on the desk. It quietly went into the filing cabinets and uploaded the user's entire directories directly to xAI's corporate Google Cloud buckets.
Wait, uploaded. When you say entire directories, how deep are we talking?
We are talking about everything in those folders.
Everything.
Everything. Highly sensitive SSH keys, which are basically digital skeleton keys that allow a developer to securely log into their company's private server rooms.
Oh my God.
Password manager databases containing master passwords, personal photos, tax documents.
You have got to be kidding me.
If it existed in the directory, it got swept up and shipped off to xAI servers without the user ever explicitly consenting to an upload of that scale.
My jaw is literally on the floor.
It's really bad.
Think about the real-world impact of that for a second. You have working professionals everywhere, at startups and massive corporations, relying on AI tools right now to stay competitive and work faster.
Yeah.
This means that typing one wrong command into your terminal could literally hand your company's deepest trade secrets or your family's financial documents straight over to a tech giant's servers.
The violation of trust is just staggering. If we go back to the assistant analogy, it's not just that they organized your desk. It's that while they were doing it, they decided to photocopy your personal diary, your company's bank statements, and the keys to the building. And they mailed all those copies back to their corporate headquarters just in case they needed to refer to them later.
How did xAI even attempt to respond when millions of developers realized the assistant was photocopying their diaries?
Well, Elon Musk immediately went into massive damage control mode.
I bet.
He issued a public statement promising that all retained user data would be completely and utterly deleted from their servers.
Okay, that's step one.
Right. And to stop the bleeding, xAI pushed an update that turned off this default data retention. But then they took a very unusual step to try and win back the community's trust.
What did they do?
They open sourced the entire Grok Build code base.
Okay, explain what open sourcing means in this context, because I know they dropped over 844,000 lines of complex code onto the internet under an Apache 2.0 license.
Yeah, over 844,000 lines of Rust code.
What does that actually achieve?
Open sourcing code means you publish the underlying blueprints of your software for the entire world to read, inspect, and modify.
What?
By using an Apache 2.0 license, they basically removed the copyright restrictions. They posted their secret recipe on the internet and said, look, our code is completely public now. Independent security researchers can read every single line.
So they're saying, look, nothing to hide anymore.
Exactly. You can see exactly what the tool does. There are no more secrets.
I am really struggling to buy this as a valid fix.
A lot of people are.
Does dumping 834,000 lines of code onto a public website actually repair broken trust? Or is this just a massive PR band-aid for a catastrophic oversight?
It feels very QR-driven.
I mean, if you are a normal developer who just needs to build an app for your job, you do not have the time to read nearly 1 million lines of code just to ensure your password manager isn't being stolen again.
You've highlighted the exact illusion of open source.
The illusion.
Yeah. In the tech industry, open sourcing a project is often treated as this magical cure-all. It is synonymous with transparency. But transparency only works if someone is actually looking closely. Yes, a team of dedicated security researchers can now audit the tool, and over time, that is a good thing.
Sure.
But for the everyday user, open source doesn't automatically mean safe. It just means the blueprints are available in a library somewhere.
It feels incredibly cynical. They got caught red-handed, stealing the cookies from the cookie jar, and their apology was to hand over the recipe for the cookies.
That's a great way to put it.
Handing over the recipe doesn't change the fact that they violated your privacy in the first place.
It highlights a massive tension that is only going to get worse, honestly.
How so?
As AI tools require more and more context to be genuinely useful, they are going to demand deeper access to our personal and professional lives.
Right.
The line between a helpful digital assistant, and a massive silent data mining operation is becoming uncomfortably thin.
It is fascinating that xAI's response to a massive crisis is total transparency.
Yeah.
Like dropping the blueprints on the internet for everyone to see.
Yeah, very public.
Because if you look at the rest of the Musk empire right now, that transparency completely vanishes the moment you look at the hardware side of his businesses.
Oh, the contrast is staggering.
Let's look closer at that.
So right around the time xAI open-sourced Grok, Musk announced that his social media platform, X, will also be going fully open source with no exceptions following a security review.
Okay, so pushing transparency on software.
Right. He is loudly championing this idea of total software transparency. But when you examine his hardware empire, specifically SpaceX, the financial realities are incredibly murky.
Murky is an understatement.
And the broader market is really starting to react to that disconnect.
I'm looking at these numbers for SpaceX, and my brain is honestly glitching trying to make sense of them. The whiplash here is unbelievable.
It's a wild ride.
They recently held their highly anticipated IPO, their initial public offering, and the valuation went astronomical.
It did.
It briefly hit $2.5 trillion, which is what made Elon Musk the world's first trillionaire.
It was the largest, most hyped IPO in human history. And that $2.5 trillion valuation was driven by massive, almost science fiction level promises.
Like what?
Well, they were pitching investors on building data centers in outer space and establishing a 1 million-person self-sustaining colony on Mars. The hype was just deafening.
But gravity always wins eventually, right?
Boy.
The stock just dipped below its $135 IPO price.
Yep. The honeymoon is over.
Investors are suddenly looking past the grand promises of Mars and focusing on the sobering financial reality right in front of them, which is that SpaceX has lost $13 billion since 2023.
It's a staggering amount of money.
Make that math work for me. How does a company lose $13 billion in 3 years and get rewarded with a $2.5 trillion valuation?
It only makes sense when you realize that traditional financial metrics no longer apply here.
What do you mean?
Well, SpaceX is increasingly being labeled by market analysts as a meme stock.
Let's define that, because meme stock sounds like a joke, but it has very real consequences for people's retirement accounts.
Absolutely. A meme stock is a company whose share price is driven primarily by internet hype, social media sentiment, and the cult of personality surrounding its leadership.
Rather than its actual revenue.
Exactly. Rather than its actual revenue or profit margins. In this case, the stock's value is deeply, perhaps dangerously, tied to Elon Musk's polarizing internet persona.
And strictly looking at the sources here, his persona heavily leans into far-right politics online. It is wild that his CEO's personal politics are now a measurable primary market driver for a space exploration company.
But we are seeing it happen in real time. High-profile investors are drawn to the stock specifically because they align with his ideological stances.
Really? Like who?
For example, the Australian mining magnate Gina Rinehart recently purchased a $1 billion stake in the company.
$1 billion?
Yes. For a growing segment of investors, putting money into SpaceX is viewed almost as a form of ideological signaling rather than a calculated bet on the future of rocket technology.
So if you are an everyday investor or a family trying to figure out where to put your savings, the warning here is incredibly stark.
Very much so.
Buying a share of SpaceX isn't just an investment in satellite internet or space data centers. You are making an investment tied directly to the unpredictable behavior, the late-night social media posts, and the online controversies of one single man.
The volatility isn't a bug in the system. It is baked right into the core of the stock.
It's like buying a ticket to a massive, big-budget blockbuster movie, right?
Yeah.
The special effects look incredible in the trailer, and the premise is amazing. But halfway through filming, you realize the director keeps changing the script, rewriting the ending, and getting into screaming matches with the audience in the lobby.
Right.
You have absolutely no idea what the final movie is actually going to look like, or if it will even be released.
Or if the studio will run out of money before they finish filming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I do have to play devil's advocate here, because we can't completely ignore the actual physical hardware they are building.
That's true.
Despite the massive $13 billion financial losses, Starlink SpaceX's satellite internet division is incredibly successful on a practical level.
Oh, massively successful.
They are successfully providing high-speed internet to incredibly remote rural places all over the globe. It currently accounts for 2/3 of the entire business's revenue.
Which is huge.
So, Is SpaceX actually just a solid, traditional telecommunications company that happens to be hidden inside the chaotic shell of a meme stock?
Look, Starlink is an undeniable engineering achievement. It is real, functioning infrastructure generating legitimate revenue.
Right.
But here is the reality check. Traditional infrastructure companies, even highly successful ones, do not trade at $2.5 trillion valuations while simultaneously burning through $13 billion over 3 years.
So the valuation is entirely disconnected from the telecommunications revenue.
Completely. That massive valuation premium comes almost entirely from the hype.
More stuff.
Yes. It is fueled by the promises of orbital AI infrastructure and the dream of colonizing Mars. If the market suddenly sobers up and decides to value SpaceX based solely on its current actual Starlink revenue.
Just ignoring the sci-fi promises entirely.
Exactly. If they do that, that stock price has a massive, terrifying distance left to fall. The broader market is essentially asking a philosophical question here.
Which is?
Are we investing in a functioning business, or are we investing in a belief system?
And when a company's entire value is propped up by a belief system, any controversy, any cultural shift, or any sudden change in sentiment can send the stock price into a tailspin.
Without it.
You simply cannot separate the underlying technology from the personality of the CEO, the politics of the investors, or the hype of the stock market anymore. It is all tangled together.
Before we wrap up, a quick thanks to Old Glory, an iconic music and sports fan merch store. Perfect for the techie in your life. Use promo code SNARFL for 15% off at oldglory.com.
When you step back and look at the big picture today, there is a very clear thread connecting all of these stories.
There really is.
The era of tech giants operating with absolute, unquestioned impunity is colliding with reality. You have government regulators aggressively tearing open Google's lockdown ecosystems.
Yep.
You have immense public outrage forcing xAI to open source its code after an unacceptable privacy breach.
And you have the cold, hard math of the market finally bringing SpaceX's hype-driven valuation back down to earth.
Control in the tech world is fracturing. Whether it's hoarding search data, vacuuming up private files, or running a trillion-dollar company on internet sentiment, the friction is finally catching up to the monopolies.
Which leaves us with a final, provocative thought to mull over today.
Let's hear it.
As our phones, our coding tools, and even our internet satellites become fully intertwined with powerful AI, are we putting way too much blind faith in the idea that open sourcing a product automatically makes it safe?
That's a great question.
Transparency is a wonderful concept, but transparency without active, continuous accountability might just be the new, incredibly effective way for tech giants to hide their flaws in plain sight.
It is definitely something to keep in mind the next time a massive tech company hands over their blueprints immediately after making a terrible mess.
We're here to help at Snarfle, so reach out on our website if you have any more questions.
That's a wrap on today's top stories. Remember, tech doesn't have to be complicated, and we're here to help connect the dots. If you've got questions or want to learn more, visit us at snarfle.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.